Hello everyone, it's time for a status update. So, welcome to Hong Kong. Hong Kong is SAR of China, that means Special Administrative Region. We can basically see all of Hong Kong right now. I took you up to Tai Moshan, which is 704 meters above the ocean. And there you go. That's your tour of Hong Kong, all of it. And what you see in the horizon out there, that's mainland China. So a small part of Hong Kong is Hong Kong Island, and a big part of Hong Kong is connected to mainland China. Yep, and that's a big Chinese city you can see out in the backdrop over there, called Yantian. So what are we doing in Hong Kong? Well, we've reached 194 countries out of the targeted 203 countries. And that means we're missing 9. And I left home in 2013, October. So it's more than 6 years away from home now. And when I left home, I figured this project would be over between 3.5 and 4 years from leaving home. But then there were complications, visas, borders, checkpoints, ferry companies that had closed down, had to hunt down ships and whatnot. So it was another month, then another month and another month. And then soon enough it was 4.5 years, and soon enough it was 5 years. And here we are at more than 6 years. And 9 countries doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it is going to take the rest of this year. It would take a miracle to get home before Christmas. And I'm not happy about that at all. What most of you see is the tip of the iceberg, the 10%. 90% of this project is research and interviews and sitting in buses and sitting in trains and coordinating how to get on board ships and bureaucracy, logistics, and all the non-fun stuff. It might be fun for a six months travel around the world, journey, having fun, gap year kind of stuff, but it's not fun 6 years into this. But this is not a video where I complain to you. This is a status update, and I'm going to tell you what the situation is right now. So recently, country number 194, we were in the Pacific. We were in the Micronesian part of the Pacific. We were in the part which is called Federated States of Micronesia. That's a country, a United Nations country. I boarded a container ship. I was offline for 11 days. Everything was fine. We reached Hong Kong. Novel coronavirus outbreak, which has now been named COVID-19. So, virus outbreak. How bad is that? It's pretty bad for some people, pretty bad for some industries. It's not a big deal here in Hong Kong. Everyone's wearing a mask, but they don't have to. It's sort of like on a beautiful blue day like today, carrying an umbrella. There haven't been many cases in Hong Kong, and life just kind of continues. So, the first thing that happened was that Palau, which is our next country, and the only reason we came to Hong Kong all the way, and I mean all the way from FSM, Federated States of Micronesia, was to catch another ship which could take us to Palau. It's the only reason we came to Hong Kong. And it's way out of our way. Actually, you might want to stop the video now and pull up Google Maps, or maybe find an atlas, and then it'll be a lot easier to follow what's going on. Okay, so we've got 9 countries left. 5 of those are in the Pacific. These are small Pacific island nations. One of them is Palau, which was to be the next country. We're also going to Vanuatu, we're also going to Samoa, we're also going to Tonga, we're going to... there's one I can't remember right now. And then the last 4 were supposed to be New Zealand, Australia, Sri Lanka, and the Maldives. Boom, 203, go home. Okay, so the first thing that happened after I arrived to Hong Kong was that Palau, they issued a letter, a statement saying that no one could leave any ships. No ships arriving to Palau, anyone would be able to leave the ship. So they can still handle cargo, but no one can leave the ship. So that's already a problem. I tried to see if I can find my way, get around that. There's a quarantine period of 14 days. So I need to distance myself 14 days from Hong Kong, Macau, or China. So I was hoping I could get on a ship, go somewhere and wait there for a few days and then get on a ship from there and then get to Palau, and then that would be more than 14 days and everything would be fine. But all the neighboring countries in the region, they've also made this 14-day quarantine period, so no good. Right, so basically we have three options, and Hong Kong only borders mainland China or the ocean. So there are two options there. One is to get a visa for China, travel through China and then catch a land border somewhere, maybe go to Vietnam and then travel overland through Vietnam and all the way to wherever is good, possibly Singapore. Or maybe travel to the border with Laos, which was where we entered last year when we went to China. And then also make our way overland. Now, that's risky business, not because I'm afraid of the virus, but because if I go inside China, then suddenly I have status of having been in China, which is much more severe in terms of countries and country bans than being in Hong Kong. Also, things are changing not just by the day, but by the hour. So I might research that the border is open with Vietnam, but before I reach it, it might be closed, and then I'm stuck in China until all of this is over. So it's not a good option. Another option would be to wait out. Just sit here in Hong Kong and wait until this virus outbreak is over. A lot of people are expecting that might be around April. Who knows? Maybe it's May, maybe it's June, July, who knows? No one can say for sure. So wait, that's a second option. I don't like any of those two options. So the third option is the coast. Find a boat, find a ship that can take us somewhere. I need to distance myself 14 days from Hong Kong, meaning Palau is 12 days away from here, which sucks. And cargo operations in Palau is 24 hours, so that's 13 days and exactly not 14 days, so that just doesn't work. And Palau is really, really far from here. So how far would I have to go? Well, an idea was find a ship to New Zealand. New Zealand is one of the remaining countries within the project. It would take more than 14 days to sail from Hong Kong to New Zealand. However, from the friends we have within the saga, we have Maersk, which is the world's largest shipping company. We have MSC, which is the world's second largest shipping company. We have Pacific International Lines, which is also a top 10 shipping company in the world. We have Swire, which has been extraordinarily helpful, just as everyone else, which is a China navigational company. A lot of people have been helping us in this project, and I've been reaching out, and the only one that had a ship that goes from Hong Kong to New Zealand was Maersk. And during these virus outbreak days, Maersk has made a decision that they're not taking anyone on board their ships from Hong Kong, Macau, or China, just for safety. Mostly because they do not want to get blocked at some port or be at risk that they have to wait for 14 days at a port somewhere in the world. That would be a disaster for their cargo operations. So I can't get on a ship from Hong Kong to New Zealand. But Malaysia and Singapore still don't have these 14-day quarantine rules. So if I could find a ship and go to Singapore, that would be the best option. Then I would be able to disembark the ship, and Singapore is a gateway to the world. It's basically the shipping capital of the world. So I'd be able to find a ship from Singapore to take us to New Zealand. If you're currently looking at the map, then that's crazy logistics, but it is perhaps a good solution. just not logistically. This is setting the project back months. We've already lost at least 2 months just coming up to Hong Kong. And if we're going to do this all the way down to New Zealand, eventually we will still have to come all the way up to the Northern Hemisphere again to catch Palau. So this is horrible. It's really, really not what I want. But what am I going to do? So there are a few options of getting moi, from Hong Kong to Singapore. There is a ship that leaves on the 23rd of February. Now, it shouldn't take much more than 4 or 5 days to sail to Singapore. But this ship only arrives on the 12th of March. And the reason is that these container ships, they're like city buses. They go round and round and round, they meet certain stops. And in this case, the ship is coming from Singapore and going the opposite way. So before it comes back to Singapore, it has to go through a full round. That's why I'll be losing a lot of time doing that. There's another option, which is a vessel that leaves on the 3rd of March, but it arrives on the 9th of March. So that means I can leave Hong Kong later and arrive to Singapore earlier. And to me, that seems like a better option. However, what's going to happen between now and the 3rd of March? Maybe that company will also have some sort of regulations that say they don't take passengers anymore because of the risk or whatever. And maybe people, who knows? Really, in these days, who knows what can happen? So that's the gamble. What can happen? Also, if I do get on one of these ships and I start traveling to Singapore, and I'm in Singapore suddenly, or maybe I even get on a ship from Singapore and I'm heading towards New Zealand, then I'm locked in time, I'm heading in the wrong direction, and what if all of this blows over in that time? And then suddenly I can board a ship from Hong Kong and go to Palau, but now I'm on a ship on my way to New Zealand. Does that mean it's better to just sit and wait and see what happens? So that's the gamble right now. Is this going to blow over reasonably soon? Can I just wait it out and then continue as per the original plan? Or is this going to take a long time before this is over? In which case, it's much better to head to Singapore, connect to New Zealand, and then from New Zealand we can make it up to Fiji, and from Fiji we can connect to some of all these other island nations, and we can come closer and closer to the goal of reaching every single country in the world in an unbroken journey completely without flying. I can go home. I can quit all of this. I can go home. Nobody's saying I can't go home. But I've been working on this project every day for more than 6 years. I've been working so hard to get to this point where we only have 9 countries left. And a year for me is not a year for most people. Most people that go to work or go to school, their year is about 200 days because they have weekends and they have holidays and national holidays and vacation. But for me, a year is always 365 days. And that's 6 of those years. And I feel like I've achieved a lot. And I feel that, sure, I could go home and I would still be very rich in experiences, and a lot of people will have received a lot from this project. But truly, I see it like this. If I go home now, then I'm saying it's okay to quit. And I'll be the man who quit. And if I continue and get those last 9 countries, then I'm the man who accomplished. And then I'm showing the entire world that you can set yourself a difficult to reach goal and accomplish it, even though sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's rotten, sometimes it sucks. But if you stick with your ambitions, you keep your eye on the prize, your eye on the ball, you keep going, all of these slogans, keep on keeping on, then you can reach it. and I'd much rather be that guy. And that's your status update.